Can you hear me? What's happening, guys? Man, hey, week 2, Chatterbox Clicker. Really cool to be with you guys. Excited for another night of this. Crazy stuff going on right now with the NFL and really with every team right now. It's not just the Bengals. The 50-man or 53-man rosters have been set. Now, here's the issue with the 53-man rosters. It's crazy because everybody sees all the moves that were made today, but in all reality, like there's another probably 3 or 4 days worth of moves that are about to happen. So the waiver claims are going to happen overnight. They'll happen tomorrow. People will get claimed. And then anytime somebody gets claimed, that means somebody else has got to get cut. So people get put on IR because to put somebody onto IR, you have to push them through the 53 and then put them on IR afterwards. So what a lot of people don't see is that there's some veterans that are getting cut right now. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what about the quarterbacks? And why is there only 2 quarterbacks? I don't know the exact numbers behind like a Simeon right now, but he may be one of those guys they cut and say, hey, don't go anywhere. Listen, we're putting somebody on IR and we're going to bring you back to the 53-man roster. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there's things that have happened like that before where you want to kind of stash somebody on IR for that, that small amount of time, not the full season IR, but a few weeks IR. And a lot of times those cuts happen and then they, those guys show back up. So it's a tough time for a lot of players. It's tough for the coaches, to be honest with you. You get so invested in these young men and then they get cut. And honestly, you don't see them again. And it is a tough time for a lot of people, but to keep some of those guys around on the practice squad and let them develop, it's a really cool thing to watch. These guys, they come on the practice squad, especially rookies or young guys that are really just doing everything they can to hang around. So it's a interesting time right now, but we'll see what happens with the guys that they let go. We'll look more into that towards the end of the show. Right now, you're looking at 2 quarterbacks on the roster. 6 receivers. You got 10 offensive linemen, which one thing I noticed about the offensive line, there's not a rookie on the offensive line, which is something that, bodes well for where the Bengals have been over the past few years with the line and, not having the greatest of lines, but then start to build it up and build it up and build it up. So you can tell that they've gotten to that point. So defensively, we'll get into that a little bit. But looking at the game summary from this past week, the Bengals lost 21-19. They went 0 in the preseason, which is, I believe, the third time. I'd be lying to you if I said the exact. I know one was 99 and the other one might have been 85 or something like that. So does that mean anything? I don't know. Peyton Manning went 0-4 in the preseason, or the Colts went 0-4 under Peyton Manning multiple times, and they were just fine. So, it's all about who you're playing. If you really watch the games, you'll notice that obviously Burrow didn't play, Chase didn't play, those big names didn't play. So you're playing guys trying to develop, trying to find the diamond in the rough somewhere. So that's why they're probably where they're at. But with the final cuts coming, there were some guys that had some good games, and some of these guys may end up on the practice squad because I know some of them got cut. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about here today. But if you look at, Chase Brown made the team. That kid is playing some high level football, especially, in the preseason, being a rookie. A lot of that stuff is tough for those guys to, just live up to what they think they need to live up to. Now, I'm probably butchering this kid's name, and I apologize, but Andre Iosivas, he stood out to me watching the game on Saturday. I mean, the kid made plays all over the place, and he ended up making the team. So when you look at those kind of guys, some surprise cuts. You look at a few of the guys that were cut, and you kind of say, is a guy like, it's a guy like Mike Thomas, a guy like, Trevor Siemian, who played well, who was really the starter going into that last game. They cut the young Sinet, Asiasi, the tight end, Adeniji, the tackle. Obviously I know people have been on him, but there's some guys like Trent Taylor was a starting punt returner. Well, obviously he's not anymore. So they got the rookie that came in, and he's probably going to end up being the guy in Charlie Jones. So there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. But I'll tell you what, let's get into we'll start watching a little bit of the defense here. And there were some good things that the defense did, and it's kind of fun to watch some of the plays that they're making. Apologize, get my video set there. All right, so as we look at this first play, now there's a pick route here by the running back, and some of these routes that the running backs are running, but especially by Washington. If you think about Kansas City and what they did, and then Eric Bieniemy being the coordinator, it's one of those things where a lot of this stuff is built in the same way. So if you watch right here, the linebacker is really covering the back here. So you can see that they're really trying to run more or less a pick route like this, and this backer's trying to run through everything, and really didn't really work out well for the Bengals with this one. Now, I will get into one in just a minute where you'll see they did correct the issue. They're having that's a tough play to make, especially when you're covering him man. Now, here's the difference between defense and offense. And I know I'm going to point out the obvious here, but with offense, we know where we're going. As an offensive coach, we know he's running to the flat. He doesn't know that. So when you're doing that and you've got another route coming in behind it where he's got to loop over the top or go underneath, there's a lot of things that, you've got to be aware of. Really good linebackers will know these route combinations. As you can see here, he had to go all the way over all these guys and then ended up actually falling down right here. But you'll see on the next clip that it's a different coverage. Don't get me wrong. It's a different coverage here coming up, but it shows that they tried to come back to a version of it right here. And you'll see the back here coming out here to the left, dang near on the same spot of the field. You can see they're doing a lot of interference here for the back, but you can see what this is. This is a double A blitz. So what they're doing is they're blitzing these 6 guys up front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what they're going to end up doing is, because it's man coverage with these 2 guys inside, you saw a little while ago that inside backer was covering. When the back leaves, this defensive end has to peel. That's called peeling. He's peeling for that. So what's going to end up happening here is you'll see that he'll peel on it now. And now that he's not getting interfered by those routes, you see how he's not interfered by the routes? He actually gets it covered. This was a 3rd and 3 play. and they stopped him. I mean, you can look at how excited Zach is over here on the sideline. You can see him right here. Watch the excitement level of him. Yeah, because that's a big play. That's a huge play, 3rd and 3. And the thing about it is, you may sit here and go, who are these guys that are playing on the field? It's not necessarily all about that. It's really about, the type of plays they're making, you can see right there. I mean, coaches, we don't care who's making the play. We're just excited that people are making the play and that, they're getting better, that the team is getting better, the type of plays we're making. Now, this got shown on the Chatterbox Twitter here it's a pick. This is really just a normal man coverage blitz here. Now, what's called blitzing the back. So what that means is when you blitz the back, this linebacker is going to blitz over the top of this back, and this linebacker actually has him man. So what they're going to do now is when he blitzes, he's going to end up hugging. So that means that once he sees him block, he's then going to hug on there, and he really becomes a second blitzer to this. So you'll see from the end zone. But I want you to watch the reason this works. The reason that these type of blitzes work is when he blitzes, he's going to end up picking. He's going to end up picking the center right here, and what that means is he's running through and knocking him off of his block. These two guys are really working to these two guys. But when he runs through that, this is the backs guy. The back's going to come up in here. He's going to hide in behind all this, and you'll see him come around real late. Now, he doesn't get there, and it ends up being a big pass for Washington. But if you watch the type of see how he's hidden back there, and he's going to come hit the hip of 53 right there, knock him off, and then you got a free runner right here. So that's how they're setting up those blitzes. And again, that's a heady play by that linebacker not to hit the quarterback in that situation. Now, this was a blown coverage. This is cover 3. So there's a lot of ways to do this. When you have these crossing routes coming over here and you've got cover 3, and you've got 3 deep and you've got 4 underneath defenders here. A lot of times this guy is kind of put in a hard spot. So like if there's nothing in this area over here where there's not, he then really has to turn back and he takes over this area. Now, this corner also is responsible for that deep third. So when this corner breaks on this route right here, this guy keeps coming here and there's nobody back there. So that's probably something that they're going to have, some talks about just with everybody. But one of the things is too is, I'm being an offensive guy, I'm always looking at ways to attack defenses. And I'm not sure that, Cleveland or anybody is watching this and going, oh yeah, they're going to make that mistake again. I don't think that's a mistake you make. They may at some point, but not by that bad, not by that margin to where, it's a 45-yard touchdown pass. Brissett does a good job here too. I mean, this is a really good job of getting out of the pocket. It's a 4-man rush, but you can see it's a decent rush by the Bengals. You got a free guy here, and Brissett steps up, has to come out of the pocket. I mean, it's a good, well done play by the Commanders. I almost used their old name right there. Apologize, but right there, that's a good play by them. But again, I think the good thing about it is this game doesn't count. This game does not count, and you can learn a lot from things that happen even to your young guys that maybe aren't even on the team anymore. So one of the things that they're doing is they're going to look at these issues and clean those up over the next week and a half before they have to play a real game that counts. Now, if you remember the Super Bowl and Kansas City was running those guys, and then they would run them back over here, and it was like there was a whole man coverage thing where they'd run in and then they came back and they hit them twice in the second half because the man coverage guys were running over and then they were turning around and running back and they weren't able to get back. Watch what Washington does here. Washington's going to run across, and when they run across, you can see he runs over here, and he'll end up right about there. Now, you see he moved out. Now he's saying, okay, I got him. Now the issue is they're going to run him back across, and nobody passes him back over. So either somebody's got to run back with him, or they've got to pass. They've got to pass it back. And as you can see, Watch when 89 the receiver. See, you see how he's telling them right there, hey, Y'all got to go. It's you go run with him. Well, nobody runs with him right here, and you can see they even tried to pass it off, and right there, that's the reason he's so open. So, and again, the good thing about this is that this game doesn't count. So, what they're going to end up doing here is they're going to work this and get this fixed. And I don't know Lou Anarumo personally, but I can tell you this much: I know people that have worked with him. I know that a lot of people involved with the Bengals that are going to tell you right now, this will be clear. This will be cleared up. You know, if you see this again, shame on the players, but I can tell you they will get this. You can see they're communicating. They're like, he just pointed over here, and you can even see when 89 comes back. Not only is he pointing, he's pointing. He's probably telling him, hey, you need to run with him, and he didn't. So there's some things that can be worked on. And again, hey, it's early in the preseason. So looking at this now, this is one of those things. I actually coached the running back that's in here, Jonathan Williams, and really good kid. He's a really a pretty good player. Played for me in Detroit. Was not in Cincy with me, but was in Detroit. And if you look, there's a tip pass, and his ball's like way up in the air here, and like that's one of those passes as an offensive coach you're saying, oh boy, here we go. But right here, this is one of those overload blitzes. So not to get too in depth with the overload blitzes, but when you have 3 big guys here and a big guy here, you've got 5 linemen. Now, you don't want your back blocking down defensive linemen. You would rather your back block linebackers, safeties, anybody like that. So right now, when you get into this situation, we talked last week where the guard had tapped his head, and it was a sort between those two. I'm not sure that that's what they're doing here, but you can see that the back ends up here. It's a pretty good pickup by Washington, but when you get your hands up like this and you knock this ball up in the air, now the thing that Jonathan Williams does here, now this is, I know this is not good for the Bengals. You want an interception by the Bengals, but you see how he becomes a defender now, and that's one of those things you try to teach your players is that this is a issue where it can go bad really quickly for the offense. And other than that, it's like Jonathan Williams kind of fixed it for him. But again, they got their hands up. The defensive line for the Bengals has been causing havoc this entire preseason. And I know it hadn't even been the real guys. When I say the real guys, it hadn't been the starters. And when the starters get out there, you know what they can do. So the scheme is really good. You can see that overloaded scheme that I showed you. You're creating one-on-ones with the lineman and the back. So you're kind of taking everybody out, and the back's not able to get out in his route. So there's a lot of things that are happening there. This is just a sack here. This is Owen Carney. I know he got waived, but I will say this. Watch the bull rush right here by this right here. This turns it into a sack. And that's one of those things, and we talk about all the time about rushers not rushing past the quarterback. Watch when he gets to this level where he's going to be level with the quarterback, and he doesn't go past him, he comes back under, and it forces the quarterback to have to step up. So you don't ever want to rush past the quarterback because it gives you lanes to get out. But because he's rushing here, and he really bull rushes 73 back. And you can see right here, he's got a one-arm bull. And just remember, one arm extended is a lot longer than 2 arms extended at the same time. So that's why a lot of times you'll see the one-arm bull. And you can see right here, causes that, and it's really a nice defensive play by the Bengals and the kid Owen Carney. Now, I believe in the last game I showed you a clip where a D lineman, and I want to say it was Jeff Gunter, number 93, caused a sack where number 35 got gifted the sack, and it was just like, man, you did all the work, but yet I didn't get credit for the sack because I didn't actually touch him when he was on the ground, so I didn't get the credit for it. Now, watch number 93 here. So 56 here gets a kind of gets through here and causes, like, that should be a sack by 56 right there. But what happens is he misses him, and 93 is the one that actually touched him when he went to the ground. So and you'll watch the excitement of them because they, again, these guys are fighting for their livelihood, and this is a really good move by 56 right here. You'll see swats him, and you see how he grabs the back of his jersey right there. That's hard on a lineman because when you get the back of his jersey, it's tough. Now, you can see here, he causes the sack, but in all reality, 93 falls on him right there. Now watch the excitement right here. Yep. So even though he didn't necessarily do all the work, he got credit for it. So it's fine. It's still a sack. So going into some of the things that the offense did in this game, which the offense has been doing some good things the whole time. Really, a lot of the things that are showing up, even though it's guys that maybe aren't on the main roster, a lot of things are showing up in the games that you can tell that they're working on, that they're not, it's not just an accident that things are happening with the Chases and Burrows and Huggins and all those guys. There's things that are happening that are practiced. And I mean, when I say it's practiced, these things have got to be ingrained into these players' heads. And again, looking at Chase Brown, I only have one clip of him, so I'm not going to go into the whole Chase Brown thing again. But if you watch the way this kid runs, this is an outside zone, but you'll see him. He'll come in here and press it, and then he'll make just a small cut behind everything, and it's just enough to get him into there. And then as a former running back coach, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of running backs that will get into this position and will try to do something where they outrun them here. They'll, try to dance too much. But really, if you watch him, he goes here and he accelerates. Watch the difference in speed. You can see where he lowers his shoulder, gets down. Now that to me, from a former running back coach's perspective, that's what you're looking for in those kind of plays. So you can see it from this angle here. When he gets to this point, he makes this cut. He gets lost in here. And then, again, the way that Frank Pollock teaches outside zone is it is a stretch, one cut. And when I say one cut, he's making his cut here, but he has to make that slight cut. Now watch here. You'll see him right now. He'll get vertical. And that's what it's all about. It's not about the end zone's not over here. The end zone is straight ahead. And that's where a lot of these guys, they got to learn. And then the young guys, they got to learn to just take the yardage when you can get it. Looking here now, this is one of those things I was going to talk about, like being taught within the system is back shoulder throws. And one of the things you see Burrow and Chase and Huggins and all those guys, it's constant back shoulder throws. And what I mean is this. As you're running your route up here, if the defender is even or ahead of you as you're running a go route, the quarterback's going to throw that ball right behind you a little bit, because right now, if you tried to throw it over the top of him right now, that defender's in position to make that play. But because he throws it just slightly behind, when that receiver turns and looks and realizes, hey, it's a back shoulder, he can kind of put the brakes on a little bit right now, and he comes back to it. And you can see that's not something that just happens, guys. I'm just telling you all, that is a practiced talent right there. Some guys obviously have a God-given talent of receiving, such as Chase and those guys. But here's what's going to happen with this is you go and you look and you go, this isn't Chase. I mean, this is Browning to Iosivas. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Again, this is a play where, I mean, you have to practice that. If you look where that ball was put, and again, what I'm trying to get across to you is there's a lot of things going on with the coaching side of things, the way they're being prepared, the way that they are going forward without maybe Burrow on the field for them right now, but they're saying, you know what, we're still going to do what we do. We're still going to teach it the way we teach it, and that's how it's going to be. So I thought that was a really good play. Now, if you look at this is the tight end here. So this is Tanner Hudson. I believe he was waived as well, but I'll tell you, this kid's a good player now. If he doesn't come back on the practice squad, somebody will probably get him somewhere, probably on a practice squad, and let him work his way up. But again, same thing. As you can see, when he's running the go route, see how the guy's he's in front of him. He's in front of him on this side. So when he's in front of him like this, you throw that ball just a little bit behind here, and then he ends up coming back to it. And that ball's right here. You can kind of see the ball right here. The trajectory is going to come back down here. And the thing about it too is that this will set up a lot of defensive pass interferences over time, especially when you get really good at these things. So again, they're doing these things with guys that maybe aren't on the team as much, but that's where they're at with it. So you can see here, boom. That's a really good play. Again, sometimes the end zone film's not great to see the receivers on. Now this is just a normal high-low concept. So what they're doing is they're going to slight inside release and run up here, and he's going to run like a bench route, if you want to call it. He's going to run up here and run a 5-yard out. And what they're doing is they're looking here. If it's cover 2, they're looking to see, does the corner play back a little bit and take this away, or does the corner play up a little bit and take this away? So when you see here, see when he goes out, see how the corner stepped up right here. They know they're in a cover 2 look here. So when this guy breaks over here, the quarterback puts it on him right here. So it's just all that is they're just reading the corner. It's a simple high-low read, and you just read it. If you know you got cover 2, how does he react? Throw to the guy he doesn't cover. Simple as that. But I just want to make sure you guys are seeing, like, they're still working those kind of route combinations that you usually see. Now, this is what I call a drive sail concept. So you're going to have a drive route. You're going to have a basic route. So that's a drive concept. All right. A sail concept is some sort of clear out or a post, and then a little bit of an out route right here. And what you'll see is this drive route actually ends up being the flat part of a 3-level concept. If you see, there's a high, a medium, and a low. So it's a 3-level concept. If you ever hear somebody say, hey, that's a 3-level concept, that's what they're talking about. So you'll see here when this all comes to fruition here, big word for you there tonight, fruition. You can see here when the sail route comes here, he's cleared that corner out right there, and that guy's got inside leverage. So right there, that's how that comes open. And then if you see, let's say he would have had him covered, you still got guys right here that are running and, going into their zones right here. So it's a really good combination to kind of read top down and then back across. So you start over here, and again, you've got that. So you read, top, back down. And then if both of those are covered, then you're talking about, you got guys coming into your vision over here from that side. So, again, it's a good route combination, and it worked well. It's it's one of those route combinations I know I like I'm a play caller now, and it's one of those things where I like to have options. I like to have easy options, and I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes there's plays that just give you more options than others, and that's one of them. And I really like that play concept. Now, this one's kind of cool because they're going to turn here and pretend like they're flipping the ball to the back here, and it's another one of those naked combinations I talked about in the previous show. But you've got a fly motion who ends up in the flat, and really you're just running a naked. You got to come back here. You got a guy in the flat, and you got a lot of movement. And then look at the defense. Look what the defense did right here when they did that fake pitch. Watch all these guys step down in here, and then it really opens up. You got open. That's not bad options either. So, as you look at these kind of plays here, those are easy plays, and it doesn't take necessarily a great player to find yourself open in a lot of these type of situations. Now, the quarterback has to know this. If you're ever on a naked, now why is it called a naked? Because you have no protection over here. You're just naked in the woods right here. So you have no protection right here. So fake toss it, come around. You just got to know, listen, either you got to run around this guy, or you got to get the ball up over the top of him with your throw, and that's what he does right here. So really good execution on this one. Now here's a touchdown pass. Now this is called 3/2 brackets. So you can see right here, the Bengals have 2 guys here. They have 2 guys here. So what they're doing is they're playing like a triangle over the top of these 2. So this guy will take anything that goes deep and out or deep and in. This guy will take anything low. This guy will take anything low and outside. So if right here you can see low and outside takes 34 away. Well, this guy right here doesn't pay attention to what's going on. If you watch up here, they're running the same combination up top. And up top, see how the safety took the guy going deep. Remember I told you down here on this part that, let me get him set here. This guy has anything deep. This guy has anything deep. Inside, outside, outside, inside. The problem is the guy at the bottom down here, this guy didn't take him. So just as the Bengals have some issues on their coverages, I promise you the Commanders are watching this as well. So that's how you, I mean, that is a bracket beater in a way, because it does force them to have to, make some decisions. But this is a really good shot to, I want to make this point. So as a quarterback, quarterbacks are taught this. If you're going to throw the ball along the goal line, you really want to throw it low. But if you want to throw this ball along the end line back here, along the back side of this, you want to throw that high. Because here's the thing. If you throw it high and he's caught it, it's good. It's a touchdown. But if you also throw it high and it doesn't, it's usually out the back of the end zone. It's not an interception as much. So you're trying to throw it high, let them go on the back of the end zone up high. And you can see right here, I mean, that kid went way up there to get that. And then the good thing about it is got both those feet in bounds. So well done play overall, and then a little gritty. And you can see here, this might be the absolute easiest touchdown in Bengals history. So I may be wrong about that, but you got man coverage over here, man free. I have no idea what this guy is doing, because they're playing man coverage, and he just said, nope, you go ahead and score a touchdown, buddy. So I'm not 100% sure what that guy's thinking, but that might be the easiest touchdown in Bengals history. I've seen some pretty easy ones, but right there you've got 5 guys in man coverage and a free, and then you've got 5 guys underneath, which makes 11. That's, it's the math nerd in me right there. 6 + 5 is 11. So you got a 5-man rush. You got 5 guys playing man and 1 deep, and you had 1 guy that decided, I ain't playing tonight. So that's how Shedrick Jackson got his easy TD. Now, we talked about the other day, the Bengals were running some rub routes, some pick routes, if you want to call them. Offensive coaches, we like to call them rub routes, because obviously we're not allowed to pick. But if you'll see here, these guys are going to run through these, and then he's going to come underneath. And it's just barely off being able to get – this is a 2-point conversion to tie the game. It's just barely off. So you can see right here, see how 12 runs up through this guy. And he's really trying to get in the way of the guy that's covering the tight end out here. Now, here's a thing to think about. Why do you put the tight end up here and 2 receivers right here? Well, the answer to that is you get a man zone tip. I'm not real sure who this guy is that walked out with him, but he's probably a safety, or they knew something the way that they lined up, where there's the brackets coverage. But they knew right now that they had man coverage of some sort. So if you watch, he's going to run through trying to interfere with the outside guy, and he does just enough, but this guy actually makes a pretty good play. It's almost like the play that Seattle made on or New England made on Seattle, but it's just almost there. So, that was what caused the 2-point the 2-point difference in the game. But again, it's close, but they're running the right stuff. They're trying to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, but again, it just hit a little bit too short. So, looking forward on what the Bengals have coming up. Final cuts happened today. All right, they happened at 4 p.m. Eastern today, and really they're going to be trying to put their practice squad together in the next day or so, and then they're also going to be looking at the waiver wire. Looking at players that might be out there that they say, hey, you know what? If the Cowboys don't want him, we've been looking at that guy for a long time, and let's go get that guy. Or, hey, we got an injury in this position, or whatever the case is. And a lot of times we don't know that aren't in the building what the overall issues are, and I know everybody's talking about Burrow. When's Burrow coming back? And a lot of things are going to happen. I mean, they kept 2 quarterbacks, so I'm assuming that the kid's okay. And I mean, I know he's going to be, but they're going to be looking at a lot of things going in the next few days, trying to build depth, trying to get the practice squad put together. Sometimes you want to go out and sign another guy that got waived and didn't get claimed, that might be on somebody else's squad somewhere, but you want to put them on your squad. And it's kind of a, it's a game that's being played, and it's a fun game if you're in the building and you're watching some things. It's a stressful game at times, but if you look at really where the Bengals ended up, I mean, they ended up with a pretty good team that's put together. And one of the things I noticed was, again, no rookies on the offensive line. Cordell Volson is a second-year guy. And other than that, you've got Karras, 8 years, Kappa, 6 years, Brown, 6 years, Ford, 5 years, Sharping, 5, Jonah Williams, 5, Jackson Carman, 3, Trey Hill, 3, Deontay Smith, 3. I know some of these guys have struggled a little bit. I know everybody's kind of been on Jackson Carman, but here's the thing. I mean, the kid's still young, and you got to kind of just keep developing him. And I've been, like I said, I was around Frank Pollock for a year, and I really believe he's going to get these guys and where they need to be. And I believe that there's some guys, Orlando Brown, Jonah Williams, those guys, they've dealt with some issues with injuries, but they fight through it. I mean, you end up getting guys in there and you plug and play to some of these other guys. And I think the offensive line where they're at is one of the strongest it's been since back when we had Whitworth, Zeitler, Bowling, all those guys, Andre Smith back, and when those guys were playing at a high level. So I think you're getting back to where the offensive line was back in, say, 14, 15. And that's good to see. Receiver-wise, you're looking at Charlie Jones, the rookie, made the team. Iacevas made the team, rookie, so you got 2 rookies there. But you got Boyd, Higgins, Irwin, and Chase. I mean, you're doing pretty well for yourself right there. Running backs, obviously, Joe Mixon made it. It was good to see Travion Williams. I know he's been kind of battling some things, but Chris Evans and Chase Brown. Obviously, Chase Brown has impressed me. I would like to, keep seeing a mix of Joe Mixon. I mean, I'm a little partial to him because I was his running back coach when he was drafted, and I know what he can do, and I know what he's about, and know the person he is, and it's fun to see him continue to be a part of it. And I'm glad that he got to stick around because I was, there was concern that he might not be on this team, and it's really cool to see him, still there doing his thing. With the tight ends, there's some guys, Drew Sample, Irv Smith, Mitchell Wilcox. You don't have the huge name in there, but you got 3 pretty good guys who are very solid tight ends that can do some things and all over the, kind of all over the board, blocking, pass receiving, different things, special teams. Going on the defense, I mean, the defensive line is just stacked. So you got DJ Reader, Hendrickson, BJ Hill, Hubbard, Tupou, who, I mean, I know Tupou is what he is. I believe, Tupou, I believe, was on the team my last year there. And he's just, I mean, he's a big body. He is a large man, and it's hard to find a lot of those large guys that are sitting inside. I know Osai, I heard he might miss some time with a high ankle sprain. But, when that kid comes around, obviously Miles Murphy, give him some time. I mean, that kid's going to come around. He's got some good dudes to play behind, some guys that can teach him some things. And, he can only get better. And that's what's fun about having a really, really talented guy behind some really, really talented veterans. You learn things. And again, we talked about that, at a different time about just going against those offensive linemen and learning. Take the time to find out what hurts them. What is it about them that, makes them have fits. Don't just sit there and say, I'm going to learn from only defensive guys. Learn from offensive guys too, because that's what I tell the offensive guys all the time. Don't go talk to those guys and tell them, hey, this is what I see from you, and how can I stop you from being, such a good rusher. If I'm a running back and there's a linebacker, if there's Vontez Burfict and he's just whipping our running backs all over the place in one-on-one pass rush and training camp, go talk to Vontez. Go talk to those guys and say, what are you doing? What can I do to get better so that when I go play Vince Williams with the Steelers back a few years back, that his long arms aren't going to come and just blow me back and into the quarterback. What can I do? So, it's a fine line there. Linebacker wise, I mean, these guys are good. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Akeem Davis Gaither, those guys right there, just those three. And then you got Batchy and Bailey, but linebackers are solid. I showed y'all the other day about the way that they fast flow downhill, and they're really, really good at recognizing different schemes and able to use their speed and agility to find their way in there. Secondary-wise, I mean, Awuzie, Hilton, you're talking about Dax Hill. I showed you a Dax Hill clip, a couple weeks ago, I believe, on the last week. I mean, this kid can run. Like, Dax Hill can run. Cam Taylor-Britt, showed you a thing with him stepping up and making a play, on the run game. And then really, I mean, DJ Turner, these guys are fast, and speed's what you need. Speed is something that you need to have in the secondary, and it's good to see that they're getting that. Specialist wise, I believe now this is news to me, and then I can see with Darren being where he's been for all those years with Huber and Clark and those guys. But now you've got McPherson, obviously, Adamitis, I believe I'm saying that right. But then the punter, there's a rookie punter now, and you're kind of just moving forward with all these different guys, and you got a new punt returner. I'm most likely in Charlie Jones, and it's special teams will be interesting, and I can tell you this much: Darren Simmons has been doing it for a long time at a high level, and he'll have those guys ready. I think everybody's seen that. But, moving forward, next week I'm going to take a look at Cleveland. I was going to try to do some of that this week, but I'll tell you what, I wanted to see where the roster cuts landed with Cleveland, see if they've got any surprise cuts in there. And obviously when we look at Cleveland, you got to look at, the pass rush that they got and everybody they got up front with their pass rush and how they match up with the offensive line. And then defensively for the Bengals, they've got you got Deshaun Watson, who's actually going to play and who's been, had a year in the system now, and what can he do? And I mean, I know he's a polarizing figure, but you still got to think about the physical part of him being out there and the type of player he is. So, those are some things that they're going to have to really look into. But we'll take a deeper dive into that next week. And really, I appreciate you guys being in the chat. I've seen some guys in here I know, and it's really cool. To see you guys in there, and I appreciate the new faces, new names I'm seeing, and I really do appreciate you guys coming on and going forward. Starting next week, and into the future, any kind of questions you got during the chat, I would love to have some interaction with you, and it's more of a this is for you. I'm just the vehicle to get, it's fun for me. Don't get me wrong. But this is all for you guys. And I do appreciate you being out there. Appreciate Chatterbox Sports. And so we will, from this point, I'll see you guys next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and we'll do a Cleveland Browns preview show. All right. Talk to y'all soon.